How's it going, everyone? And ever since the Killzone crossover event, I've seen some great conversations about IPs that would be perfect fits for Helldivers 2. And I just want to say it's very refreshing that we all agree that Helldivers 2 take crossovers that wouldn't conflict with the art style and identity of the universe. Just for a quick explanation by what I mean by this is a popular request since day one of the game has been a Halo crossover. Now, I think for the most part, that is like a perfect IP to do a collab with, and if we are looking at Marines and ODSTs and UNSC weaponry, stuff like that would perfectly fit. However, things like Spartan armor or Spartans I feel visually clashes with the Super Earth aesthetics, which is why when people ask for a 40k crossover, in the traditional sense, I'm against it. I think we have a method to crossovers where most game devs and game companies will always have them as cosmetic and weapon drops for players to engage with. However, Space Marine armor, bolters, las rifles, in my opinion, clash somewhat with the core style of the Super Earth faction. Maybe the guardsman uniform might work, but I have a better idea. It would be something I personally don't remember or haven't seen done with a crossover in a very long time. Imagine if Arrowhead added the Orks as a warband/brigade faction in Helldivers 2, creating a whole faction that plays off the existing brigade mechanic. Now, before I go into details about this, I know someone will say, well, that's basically just the squids. And yes, currently, as of the making of this video, but I think we all know that eventually squids will have their own planets and territories they control, so orcs that solely live as a brigade would be different. So my idea for a orcs faction would be very much in line with the idea of a 40k orc warband. We have a orc brigade given a randomly generated name, or if the devs want to make one, they can make one, with a war boss. They will go around the galaxy, crumping and shooting any and all planets they want. Yes, they will attack bots, bugs, and squids, and us. Allowing the orcs to go on a looting spree can see debuffs placed on a said faction. Perfect examples would be, imagine if the orcs looted the planet we got the exosuits from. Well, if we don't stop them and that planet is given the pillaged status, we can see a debuff to exosuits, such as an inability to spawn them in because there is no longer a plant that is fully functional to make them. Since there aren't new ones being made, maybe exosuits spawn in with half ammo and half health. Or, I don't know, if there's a planet in Helldivers that is so purposely for creating ammo, or better yet, why don't we just say a warband pillages a whole sector or more than half of the planets in a sector? Well, ammo constraints start to happen and supply chains are disrupted, which will happen, and we can see resupply no longer be unlimited like we're used to, and you can only use like 4 per mission, or it spawns in with half the ammo as usual. And the more loot or worlds this warband of orcs pillages, the stronger they become, regenning the brigade's health. So no longer is it a battle of attrition, it's something that we should focus on, or maybe another faction will just take them out. It would be interesting to see the evolution of the brigade mechanic Arrowhead introduced a while ago, since I believe it's a new and engaging way for them to introduce characters or sub-factions into the galactic war, as well as a faction of orcs, even if not Warhammer 40k's version, would be an amazing fit into the setting. However, I would love it if it was the 40k orcs, because they're just chads, and I don't want 40k to just be a collection of armor and guns. It would be interesting for it to be a whole sub-faction, and the chads from Warhammer deserve it. Tell me what y'all think about this idea, because I genuinely think it would work. They can be a different version of the Illuminate, where you have goblins who are like the voteless masses, solely melee and scrap together axes and pikes, with orcs being tanky boys. You can have just shooter boys or orcs with guns. You can have odd boys who are just orc wizards who do magic attacks and buff the other orcs around them. You have purple orcs who, if you didn't know, are just basically invisible because they're purple, which is base. You could also have a cool mega unit, which is the Gargant, which for those who don't know is, imagine a orc version of the Factory Strider siege engine, and you have a Gargant. And you can have a unique mission called War Boss, where in this mission you have to personally take out a War Boss orc, and if you don't kill him in time, in the sense of the longer you wait, well, since he's alive in Warhammer, when a war boss is around other orcs, those orcs around the war boss get a heightened sense of aggression, so you can see basically stealth being almost impossible for orcs if you have the war boss up, and it's best to probably take it out as quick as possible. It would just be an amazing thing to see on my screen, to hear an orc, just yell "Wah!" and then hell of orcs come pouring out to fight you. And that's personally what I would want from an orc subfaction and or a Warhammer 40k crossover. Not just that, but like, I know that I say they're kind of like the squids, but you can also have it to be where how squids with their overseers, they're more about chaff and more penetration or explosions, while with orcs they can be very tanky too as well, but they're tanky because they're bullet sponges, because they are just so, they're just built different. All right, you just need to look at some orc art to understand how built different and how chatty they are, so it makes sense. And it'd be cool to see a different playstyle now where instead of having explosive high one-shot weapons or high pen weapons, you need to more focus on a lot of ammo, maybe supply packs, maybe machine guns, maybe watchdogs, explosion. But tell me what you guys think down below, and if you like the idea, leave a like, as well as check out the description to check out our Discord, trying to build an active community of Helldivers over there, as well as if you would love to support the channel even further, think about becoming a channel member for as little as 99 cents a month, or going over to our Patreon where you can get exclusive rewards. And that's all I got, and thank you for the amazing patrons who currently bankroll this channel. Be safe.